He came across a number of photographs of the deceased, looking as if they dated way back, I'd say 1950s. Seemed to be some sort of holiday camp. And again, through the papers I found, he was at one time referred to as Carl Dean, which is a bit of one of those sort of 50s matinee idol-sounding names in a way. Which could have,
yes.
If he was an entertainer, that could have been his equivalent of a stage name.
The photos of the deceased showed Carl Von Eudeni, aged in his mid to late 20s, working under a stage name of Carl Dean. In fact, he was both a musician and stage performer, and worked the summer seasons in Paynton, Devon. In post-war 1950s Britain, the population threw off the shackles of austerity and rationing and for 1 week a year flocked to the seaside with their bucket and spades for a fun holiday on a budget. In this climate, places such as Blackpool, Weston-super-Mare and Paynton flourished, as did a generation of variety performers who entertained the crowds. Local historian Peggy Parnell remembers the time well.
Factories were beginning to close down to let their firms have a week's holiday. Consequently, they would pack on the trains and come down to the south coast. There was always an atmosphere when the trains came in. Oh, they were thrilled to bits. They would arrive at the Paynton station, huge families, and they would walk with their cases to the little guest houses down off Torbay Road. There was quite an atmosphere. I can remember leaning out of a summer's evening and thinking, yes, the season's underway. I can hear the noise rising up from the town.
Carl was part of this scene, working as a musician and compere in the camps. He would be relied upon to introduce acts and marshal the audiences, bringing the whole show together.
Well, it was very important because without a compere, of course, the audience just sit there like a lot of sheep waiting for something to happen. No, a compere was a very important person. Got everybody warmed up, got them singing, got them talking to themselves, played, reacted to the audience, and really got the atmosphere going.
Although Carl's specific career path is somewhat unknown, he was clearly a success on and off stage, rubbing shoulders with some of the big stars of the day, like big band leader Billy Cotton Sr. and comic Norman Wisdom. But his life would have been as much hard work as glamour.
It would have been pretty well on the go all the time. I can't imagine that he could have come out of his suitcase very often, you know, if he's travelling up and down the country, going to all these different towns. So he would have had quite a hard task, yeah.
Whilst Baron von Eudeni had a brush with showbiz in his theatrical career as Carl Dean, back in Hooper's office, they had uncovered even more clues that would blow the case right open and lead to his eventual heirs.
We were struck lucky in that we discovered a variety of documents, including a birth certificate, some correspondence relating to a change of name, and other papers.
One document proved vital, as it confirmed that Carl had not been born under the name Von Eudeni. He had officially changed his name by deed poll. But rather than being born under his stage name Carl Dean, he actually had a third entirely different identity. Far from being aristocratic, Carl actually started life in much more humble surroundings, as a Charles Edward Cullum.